In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Rob Farrell, and he's hailing over from the folks over at SmartPrint. And today we want to really, figure out basically, what managed print services, all entail, what the business really looks like, and obviously how Rob is thinking about growth for the organization. And then, we always like to really deep dive into the person behind the business to figure out a little bit, what the journey has been like. And so we're going to do that, of course, today for you guys as well. So Rob, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much, Lucas. Glad to be here.
Of course. So maybe give us a quick 360 overview. What is SmartPrint all about in your own words?
Sure. Yeah, so we are at the core a services company. So we're managed print services. Our real focus is to help our clients optimize their sort of document infrastructure, print infrastructure, and the workflow in their environment. And we kind of, when I say we're a services company, we deliver an as a service program, so that literally we call it SmartPrint 360. Literally everything to do with all of their print devices, their servers to manage print devices, and again, document workflow software, etc. All of that can be sort of bundled into a simple program that gives them a flat monthly fee for all of that.
That is, very easy to understand, very easy to see the value there. So maybe tell us a little bit about the types of businesses that benefit the most. Is there, certain industries? Is there a certain size that you need to have? Certain amount of papers you need to print? What's the where does it make a lot of sense basically?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about our target market. So I mean, it's a good question because really it's companies that are really focused on documents that run through their business. So in a certain size, that's a great component of the question as well. Yeah, we need companies to be about 100 to 5,000 employees, so sort of mid-market companies up to sort of the lower side of enterprise. And we are focused on verticals like, you think about documents in a business, right? Legal firms, financial firms, accounting, so professional services organizations is a good focus as well. Manufacturing, right? You think about all of the processes in a manufacturing organizations and all the documents that flow from the start to the end. And in particular, we've got a significant expertise in supporting food process manufacturing that is very document heavy because of the what they're making. And that people have to eat those products, and it has to be safe. So there's a lot of controls and documents around that. And then the other vertical that's a significant vertical, and probably our second largest vertical behind manufacturing, is healthcare. So we manage a lot of hospitals and regional hospitals, and we manage a lot of healthcare organizations as well, sort of supply chain for healthcare and that sort of thing. Again, same thing, very document intensive, and efficiency is pretty important for all of those.
And what would you say, like, who would be the champion within those organizations? Is that sort of like, does it come from the administrative side, the operational side, or is it, actually sort of even, in the legal organizations, for example, the actual lawyers that say we need better infrastructure here so that we can actually manage our daily workflow? Like, where does this sort of urge and need come from typically?
Yeah, I think that it's really the need comes from, like you said, in a law firm, it's going to come from the lawyers. They need to be more efficient at practicing law. They're gonna want a better solution for what they're doing. But really, our engagement is typically with IT, CIO, sort of VP level in an organization that are trying to solve those business problems with technology and services.
That makes sense.
Often we end up getting involved with a lot of different departments through the process to understand how they work today and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's definitely the engagement is typically driven by IT.
And what would you say, how do these folks actually learn about SmartPrint? Like, what's sort of their journey like in, getting to know SmartPrint at the first place, getting to understand, for example, SmartPrint 360, which we briefly touched upon, and then getting started? Like, what is sort of, how would you describe their journey in a way?
Yeah, so that's a bit of a complex area, but a great question as well. So we do actually get people that are looking out into the marketplace and want to learn about managed print services and how can they improve what they have, and they're finding us through a Google search and learning on our website and looking at our blog material, case studies, looking at some of the sort of essential guides that we've put up there that people can tap into. That percentage is starting to grow, but we're more of a, frankly, it's more of a push market where we're reaching out to people to educate them. So, we've got some pretty significant investment in demand generation. We're using, tools to, drive sequences in communication, sales sequences, and marketing communications to our target market, to those key players in the market, kind of automating that process to educate them and take them through, an education process before we're sort of reaching out to try to see if there could be a fit for what they're looking for and what we do. And then, one of the keys is to understand timing, right, of that fit, and start to create that relationship with the organization over time.
Very cool. No, that makes a whole so a lot of sense. And maybe for the people who haven't fully grasped yet, why the managed services component is, or how it improves the organization. Maybe would you mind to summarize, like for people who are maybe not as much in depth in the industry, like how the service then steps in and changes operations for those businesses.
Absolutely. So before we show up and get engaged and hopefully improve their environment, I'll give you an example of a large food processing global company that we manage for all of North America. Before we were engaged, when they looked at their print environment, their copiers and printers and print infrastructure, software, et cetera, they had 47 different suppliers supporting them for that environment. And that was just across Canada. When we looked at the US and went to phase 2 of that program, they had more in the US. So it's a hugely complex environment to manage. And so, there's a lot of pain for procurement. There's a lot of pain for, just even managing invoices and payment. And how can you understand what it's truly costing you to run that part of your business when there's so many suppliers and so much confusion? So it's typically, it can be quite a mess before we engage. And lack of standardization in devices on their network, lack of standardization in configurations to lock down security in their environment. And then, really, there's a whole bunch more on the technology side and in the infrastructure side that can be a mess, but it really impacts the users. It impacts their ability to be efficient, right? So the users that are trying to get their job done day in, day out, they're going to have a lot more challenges with an environment like that. And then the other thing that's key is that it keeps IT, procurement, administration busy a lot. So the IT help desk, right? The IT projects team, they end up getting involved in a lot of things that they shouldn't be. So we're saving a lot of time when we can come in and clean that up.
It's interesting.
So for this organization, So for this organization, they went from 47 suppliers across the country to one, right?
Yep.
Managing it all, bringing standards, bringing uptime to a new level, and bringing that sort of infrastructure to a solid state where they don't have problems.
It seems like one of those things where like cost can creep up on you and you don't really even realize, because you got, as you were describing, all of those things, people are being actually busy working on it all the time somehow to maintain the infrastructure. So no, that makes a whole lot of sense. Very cool. Now, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk with you about your journey as a leader in the business, right? I mean, first thing I would like to ask you is, obviously you have a lot of responsibility in the business, a lot of hats. How do you keep on educating yourself? Like, where do you personally like to read and to keep your business and growth acumen sharp?
Thanks for that question. And it's interesting because you got to stay engaged, right? You have to understand, what is the new technology coming? What is how do we take the business to the next level? So I'm always looking at our partners and engaging with them to see what's coming in the future. I'm always talking to my team. So, the technical people out in the field are systems engineers that really understand what's going on from an print infrastructure and document workflow infrastructure standpoint. They really know what's going on. So communicating internally helps a lot too. I think that one of the things that's been most valuable for me, though, is I'm part of a top 100 influencers in managed print services globally. I'm on this list, and that's been really valuable for me. There's a company called TigerPaw that has driven that effort to sort of collectively pull together some of the leaders in our space. And they've created a peer group where, about weekly or bi-weekly, we get together and have great conversations about what's working in our space, what's not working. And, we're able to learn from other people that do what we do in different regions around the world and understand, maybe what pivots or adjacencies they've focused on that have been successful, or how they've solved specific problems where, one of them that we are challenged with is every company is taking their business to the cloud. And, at some rate, and a number of the organizations that have gone 100% to the cloud now have no servers on their premises where the workers actually do their work. So that's changed the game a little bit for print infrastructure, document workflow infrastructure. We've had to adopt new tools and that sort of thing. So tapping into that peer group enabled us to share information and go after that and solve a lot of problems and sort of lead the charge for that actually in Canada and North America.
Very interesting. I have some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for today's interview as we slowly coming to an end. Are you ready for those?
I'm ready.
What is the last book that you read?
Oh, that's interesting. I just read, I'm trying to think of the name of that book. Critical Thinking, and I can't think of the author. I apologize for that, but it's a critical thinking book that my son shared with me actually. And it's critical business thinking for executives essentially.
Very cool. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
What are we focused on the most? Okay, that's a great question. I think that taking things to the next level. There's organizations that we would compete with that are still in a reactive mode in supporting their clients. And really, we want to move to a completely predictive mode where we have the right tools and systems monitoring the environments that we manage so that before a device goes down, before something, a piece of technology goes down, software, that we're notified before and can actually, get on top of it before there's downtime for the users. So we've made a lot of headway in the last couple of years, and we're continuing to focus on, connecting those links so that we can take that further and further. That drives efficiency for us, and it drives efficiency for our clients, right? So that's where we're headed.
Very good. Basically, my last question would be if we would do a little bit of a time travel, right? And we think about that very first day that you started working on SmartPrint, right? I don't know, how it got started in detail, but let's think about that very first day. What's the one advice for yourself joining or starting the work on SmartPrint that you would give yourself if that day would be today?
Sort of advice for myself. So if I think about that, we've had a lot of growth over the last 10 years, which is about how long I've been here. I think more year over year consistent organic growth than any company I know of in North America. And so that's great, but that comes with a lot of work, a lot of pain, a lot of strategy, and stress on the team, stress on employees as you grow. And so I would say, when I'm looking back, I would probably be a little bit more patient. With that. It will come. We know we're doing all the right things. That growth will come. So more patience. And, I also think about trusting my gut or my intuition when we're making decisions on new partners that are bringing technology to us that they want us to take to market, or new players that we want to bring into the business. I can think of a few different situations where, we could have made better decisions. And, when I look at it and I think about my gut, my intuition, what I really thought about it, I would trust that more often.
Very good. I mean, it's very interesting to see it from that angle, like after being going through that growth and having had that experience. We really appreciate your insight there. Basically, before we wrapping it up today, I want to give you the very last word, right? If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about SmartPrint today, what's the one thing that people should remember about SmartPrint?
Yeah, so, I think that the key is when you're thinking about print infrastructure and print devices and managing workflow, it's not really a sexy business, right? It's not that exciting. But I think the key is we make it very easy for our clients. So we've got a team of experts. We've got excellent retention with our key players in this business. So when we come in to solve problems, we're very effective. But I think part of that is that the whole team is sort of rowing in the same direction. We got a very good plan for how we go to market. And I think that one of the things that our clients are consistently sharing with us, that in business reviews and that sort of thing, when we sit down and talk about how we're doing, how they're doing, and what we can improve, we consistently hear that they're blown away by the lengths we'll go to ensure they have uptime and to ensure we solve those problems. And I think it comes back to one of our core values, actually, when I think about it. One of them is do the right thing for the customer. And we find that if we always think that way, and we get our team to think that way, in the moment, do the right thing to support them, that it kind of comes through, and the services we deliver are recognized.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathwing Presents, Rob.
You're very welcome. Thank you.